Hello, this is Sudarshana Starshine Star, and I'm very glad that you're here with me on this beautiful Thursday. It's October 24th, and it's still 2024. I love Thursdays. Every Thursday is Guru Day, and the word Guru, Gu means darkness and Ru means light. So the real Guru is one that removes the darkness and brings you into the light. And it is the darkness and the light within and the darkness and the light that we perceive as outside of ourselves. So it's a great boon and a blessing to have a guru, a real guru. I know there are many shams and charlatans, and that really is a pity because it really spoils spirituality and it hurts people's trust and their faith in their hearts. But I begin all of my clips with the 3 opening prayers that are in Sanskrit and Telugu. They're the Guru Mantra, the Ganesha Mantra, and the Gayatri Mantra. And this is to bless and protect, inspire, and uplift you, me, and this clip. And they're short. Om, 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 Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam Tasmahi Sri Guruve Namaha. Om Suklam Bharataram Vishnum Sashivarnam Chatubhujam Prasanavaranam Dhyaye Sarva Vigno Prashantaye. Om Bhur Suvaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhako Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yonaha Prachodayat. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Beautiful. There's going to be some street noise. I'm on a half outside terrace, so you're going to hear some street noise, but I think it's okay. Let's just go with it. I like to have some of the fresh air when I'm doing these audios. So this is going to be a series, and I don't know how many of them I will make right now, and possibly today I will record 3 because I have so much to say. I'm going to call it The Real Real, and this will be The Real Real Part 1. It's going to be too long for me to put it on TikTok. I have a wonderful TikTok channel at my username there is at StarshineStar909. The name of my TikTok channel is Mahakali Yeshua 9. I'm on YouTube. I have a wonderful YouTube channel as well called It's the Dazzling of the Light. Or you can just go to YouTube and type in at Sudarshana Starshine Star, and you'll get access to my well over 100 clips and some pretty good content there, if I do say so myself. Okay, so and yes, while I do post on Insta and some things on X, not that often. So really, my YouTube channel and my TikTok channel are really the main places to go if you want to hear and see what I have to say or show. All right, so yeah, I was going to start off with some really sensitive information in this one, but that might come in part 2 or part 3, as well as I want you guys to really, I'm encouraging you to listen to at least part 1, part 2, part 3 pretty quickly, because I'm going to be giving something very, very good. I don't know if it will be in part 2 or part 3. I have to see how I feel as it goes. Something so good that will really help, and it's really for everyone to know. So what I'm saying here, I'm calling it The Real Real because I'm just going to share the real truth. And here we go. This is going to be, and I didn't, when I was jotting this down some time ago, it was a little bit ago, I didn't make the exact dates like I usually do. And this, I do believe I got off of X. So it is at Ezra Cohen on X, and he's quoting, it's not his quote. So let me just read this to you. Many of you might have heard this, but this is what I feel to start out with. Okay. And I want to remind all of you that when I read this, or when I read, I'm going to read a little bit Ariel from X, I have to read exactly as they wrote. So if they did use some kind of words that you might think, what does that mean? Or some grammatical errors, it seems like, because they're being slangy, I just have to read what they put out there. All right, so here we go. Here's the real intel. No one but us will tell you the truth. Don't play their reptilian game. They have been doing this for over 26,000 years. Heavily infiltrated into the light channels. Pedophiles are the VIRUS. The U.S. military is the VACCINE. All you need is a little adrenaline. This is the digital battlefield. The VIRUS is the nanotechnology inside you. Buckle up, Anons. It's happening. There are programs inside your quantum mind and chakras, pulling and controlling your nanotechnology strings. The battle between good versus evil is... Oh no, I read that wrong. Excuse me. The battle between good versus evil is recognizing where they've been stored. Inside you, the children have been saved. And here I have to interrupt and say the most of them. This is talking about from the main DUMBs, DUMBS, or Deep Underground Military Bases. And that DUMBs also refers to the huge deep underground cities. There's been an underground empire, a very, in some places, a very luxurious one, cities that go down for miles. And I'll talk about that later, but not all the children have been, but just like a lot have been, because we keep seeing these arrests of certain pedos that are going all around, all through our societies, all through America and all through the world. And they wouldn't be operating and doing their things if they didn't have their prey to operate with. And also, just recently, I think it was only a month ago, we saw what happened when the several cargo officers, their photos came out of what was inside when they opened up the cargo carriers, on those huge ships, each container, and they were full of small children, and some had a few adults sprinkled in there. And I showed that on my TikTok. So anyway, I had to interrupt that when he says that. Anyway, so let me continue with this quote. It was over before it started, keeping you stuck at the VACCINE passports. Stuck between General Flynn fighting Lynn Wood, watching the capital RIOT information unfold. The news about another fabricated country fighting against another fabricated country. It's their game. Everyone had free choice. Those that couldn't see were them. Run with us or run from us. Cut through the matrix. It's already done. Waiting for the news to tell you what you already know, the military, the National Guard, the Galactic Alliance. It's already done, and when you wake up, the whole world is about to change. Shut down. Q. Signed, John F. Kennedy Jr., 19th Vice President. So now I'm going to go to, and I've explained, if you look at my YouTube channel, I don't do playlists. You just have to scroll down. Some of the clips where I'm talking about myself personally, my personal life, and I make a note of that so you can see that. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about this, but this is Ariel on X at Proletario1. And like I said, I don't always agree with everything Ariel puts out there. And some subjects he just doesn't talk about, but he is one of the most excellent resources and independent journalists. So I do respect him and admire him and thank him tremendously. But there's some things like, I'm like, why isn't he talking about this? Why isn't he talking about that? But oh well, we all have our pieces that we're offering, yeah? So, puzzle pieces. So, this is going to be about Kimberly Guilfoyle, and why I'm even mentioned my personal life when I said that is that, as I mentioned, and I'm not going to go into details here, in my life, I knew Gavin Newsom personally since right before he was superintendent of San Francisco. I've known some of the Gettys. One of my brothers, biological brother, not my stepbrothers that I talk about in my personal videos, but my biological brother, when he was 11, he went away to boarding school at Groton, and his roommate was Billy Getty. So my family has known some of the Gettys, and my brother has, since that time, was always like a best friend and kind of a brother of Billy Getty, even though he did not know about the things the Gettys were up to. And he still is in denial about it, I suppose, because he really stopped talking with me after I refused to get that thing in the arm or wear a face diaper, any of that. So, but I knew that before that, for some years, he hadn't heard from Billy, and they had been, you know, pretty close and best friends for a very, very long time. But he did not know what was going on, and I really have to question if Billy really knew what was underneath the Getty Museum. I really have to question that, but I guess we'll find out. I'm fingers crossed, because I really hope not. All right, so this is dated July 20th, 2024 from Ariel on X, like I said, at Proletaria 1, and he's titling it a Gavin/Kimberly Guilfoyle post. Why I think Kimberly Guilfoyle is in Gitmo. Donald Trump never liked Kimberly Guilfoyle. Melania Trump never liked Kimberly Guilfoyle. Melania Trump never liked Kimberly Guilfoyle. I already said that. And all of them had valid reasons for it. Kimberly Guilfoyle dated two liberals who disliked Donald Trump. She even was giddy about her ex, Gavin Newsom's, running for the 2024 presidency last year. Do you all remember when she was bragging to Katrina Pearson about raising money for the, quote, Stop the Steal, end quote, rally? The House Select Committee investigating the RIOT has subpoenaed Guilfoyle, suggesting her potential role in the rally that preceded the attack. I hope you all know that this rally was created to pin the insurrection charges on Donald Trump so they could remove him from the presidential race. Why do you think the media went out of their way to ignore the statement made on that day by Donald Trump that when he was calling for, quote, peaceful protest, end quote? Same for the Mar-a-Lago raid that was designed to get him set up for illegally attaining documents that were not supposed to be on his property, even though, as president at the time, he had privilege to do so, if that was ever an issue. You all have to understand how treasonous JANUARY, and then after that, think of the number that comes after 5, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's the next number? Apply it here, because I can't say it. You all have to understand how treasonous the month I just spelled plus that number was. The media will tell you it was created as a rally cry for the 2020 ELECTION results. No, that was the guise it was being portrayed as, because I showed you all the players involved by name who worked for the CIA. And I'm sorry to be spelling things, but I just have to, guys. Okay? So let me go back to this. If they were serious about the 2020 ELECTION fraud, they would have went to an Article 3 court with a, quote, chain of custody reports, end quote, detailing everything which is required before you bring any complaints to a judge, which is why Kari Lake was not taken seriously when she whined, cried, and complained about the election fraud. The real crime committed that day was a seditious conspiracy, aiding and abetting, or conspiracy to defraud the American government. They basically set that entire rally up to put the blame on Donald Trump so they could get Michael Flynn in for the coalition government that they was promoting on Alex Jones, that was announced by Roger Stone and bragged about by Patrick Byrne. This is why we are looking at a lot of doubles walking around that do not look like the original person. Nancy Drew, and that is a pseudonym, or if you could call it kind of a nom de plume, of a woman that I have watched, and I think many patriots and Anons have watched. She lives in D.C. and she films directly, live streams all around D.C. what's happening. She's shown us a lot of things. It's pretty cool. Thank you, Nancy Drew. Anyway, Nancy Drew caught a video years ago. Nancy Drew caught on video years ago many political figures being rounded up, People do not understand that all of this is being rolled out this way in a controlled manner, and that's because the general public does not know these people committed crimes that cannot be tried in any civilian or federal court, which is why none of them were not arrested by national law enforcement as far as police. Once you committed treason, you are in the hands of military tribunals that a judiciary judge cannot oversee. That is why people like Alec Baldwin could walk away free from SHOOTING someone. But if the people ever figured out his crimes against humanity, actions that involved children, he wouldn't have been given any exoneration. Donald Trump knows the, quote, "Stop the Steal," end quote, rally was designed to frame him for a crime set up by Michael Flynn and other CIA cronies. The reason everything fell through with that event was because Donald Trump already removed us from underground, the 1871 Corporation Act. And I'm going to interrupt Ariel's writing here because I can't go into it here. I have on many of my YouTube videos, especially a series called The Controllers. So look that up. It has many parts to it, The Controllers, about what happened to America in 1871, how it was hijacked and it was turned into a corporation, and all about that. So if you don't know about that, that's really important to know. Okay, back to Ariel's post. Donald Trump already removed us from underground, the 1871 Corporation Act. So legally, he was right when he stated he was not president in 2021. Here's the link. .yahoo.com/news/Trump -4 Okay. Now back to Ariel. He said, everything Kim Guilfoyle done that led to Guantanamo Bay. Number one, fundraising for the rally. She raised $3 million for the rally. As she, excuse me for a moment, as she in a text message to Katrina Pearson, this was seen as supporting an event that ultimately led to violence and the breach of the CAPITOL. Number two, influencing the rally lineup. If she attempted to influence the lineup of speakers at the rally, including far-right figures, this was seen as promoting a message that incited the crowd to violence. Number three, involvement in the planning of the rally. She was involved in the planning and organization of the rally. Number four, knowledge of or involvement in the broader plan. If she had knowledge of or was involved in a broader plan, this could make her liable for sedition or conspiracy to defraud the American government. All of this was just a general outline of why she could possibly be in Gitmo. If we are just talking about JANUARY and then that number that comes after 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that number. But of course, there could be other unforeseen reasons given her history of dating the most satanic political figure in California, who is Gavin Newsom. The reason I say this is because California Governor Gavin Newsom was infected with COVID a day after meeting the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern. Now, I'm going to interrupt here because for those that know, and I've shown pictures on some of my other socials, but most people that are seriously researching and are patriots and truthers have seen the picture, several pictures, like Big Mike, Michelle Obama, have seen the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, with a male member swinging under his dress, his knit dresses. It's been caught. He's a man. It's a Baphomet many times, like Big Mike that we know as Michelle Obama. Anyway, we all know what this is code for. And yeah, you know, if it said all these celebrities and movie stars and politicians and governors and mayors and all these people, including, you know, vice president, when they say, oh, they've caught that word I spelled, and I think you know what I'm talking about. That is code for that they've been picked up, and that can go two different ways. It depends on if they're cooperating a little bit. And I'm not going to go into the outcomes of that, but they get picked up for capital crimes. Okay, so we all know what this is code word for, which basically comes down to human trafficking. As I told you, all California has the most DUMBs, DUMBS, and I highly doubt Kimberly Guilfoyle was totally oblivious to what Gavin Newsom's side job is. Or really, I should say was, because Gavin's not around. This is one other reason why we have not seen the military tribunals of yet, because it has to be kept under the radar until it becomes public discourse in an organic way. This is why Gavin Newsom went missing for 10 consecutive days back in 2021 when he was getting his COV, and then the number that comes after 18. That thing that goes in the arm, when he was getting that, which is another code for Gitmo detainees. Look up that article. He was brought in and replaced that year. Okay, now, let me continue with, this. And I believe this was also coming from Mr. Poole. So this is very important. Let me read this to you. Even though it starts off in a funny way, excuse me. Okay, ... will have and will continue to destroy their system from within, spend all of their dirty money doing so, until it's time for the military to visually step in. The timelines all add up and prove the military operation and occupancy. Number 1, Snake poem read by candidate Donald Trump on January 2016. Number 2, 2016 presidential ELECTIOM in November 2016. Number 3, President-elect Trump and Putin on Fox News. Quote, ready for reset, ... I will work with Trump, end quote. That's what the Putin 2.0 said. And on November 9th, 2016. Number 4, Law of War Manual, military occupation and negotiations, etc., in December 2016. And you can look up that. You can go. It's been in public news ever since. It was just a few days before Donald Trump rode down that escalator in Manhattan announcing his candidacy for presidency. Just a few days before that, the Law of War Manual had been revised and was put out. Yeah, wink, wink, no accident there. So it's always been available on .gov sites. Go on the official .gov sites, type in Law of War Manual, and you can read. You've got to be a reader. I'm sorry, you can't be lazy about these things. If you really want proof, if you really want to see things, yes, I am trying to help out. I'm doing everything I can, but it does require independent research to confirm, yeah? Okay, so then Law of War Manual, Military Occupation and Negotiations, etc., December 2016. Number 5, Military Justice Act, Supreme Court clarifying military law is separate than civil law, heavy emphasis on military tribunal terms in 2016. Number 6, military stands behind CIC Trump, military intelligence and JAG headbands at the inauguration in January 2017. And that was for optics. That was showing you who's standing with President Donald John Trump. Number 7, Saudi Arabia crowns Trump king in May of 2017. And I just recently spoke about that. You can see that with the sword dance that they gave him when he did his world tour, when he was going and getting all the surrenders from all the corrupt leaders and had to surrender their empires. And the Saudis that then proclaimed Salman, bin Salman, who then became the prince who was in charge. And he was working with President Trump, or President Trump was helping him after they deposed the evil prince, whose name I can't remember right now, very evil. Anyway, Saudi Arabia crowns Trump king in May 2017. And there's recordings of that. They gave a sword dance. The Saudis do not give that sword dance to anyone but a king. So it's very telling. I also talk about if people didn't know that Donald John Trump was the exchequer of the earth. And especially when he signed that huge book in Westminster Abbey when he went to England, and he took back. America has always been called the Virginia Company by the Crown. It never was stopped being called that because we actually, except for maybe a tiny brief period, was never stopped being owned by the Crown. All right? And he signed his name and took back the Virginia Company and took it back and was the exchequer of the earth because of how much control and everything comes out of City of London, which I've spoken about extensively. Most of you probably know this, but the 3 city-states, City of London, not all of London, just a 1-mile financial district that has its own mayor, its own laws, its own government. The Queen of England has to take off her shoes once a year and walk on the carpet and bow down to the mayor of the City of London. Yeah, give allegiance and pledge to that. It's was the financial center of the Satanic Order that I call controllers over Earth, the military center of the that was used. Unfortunately, my country, America, Washington D.C. was the satanic military point where our military forces were used in a satanic way in many ways across the earth. And the Vatican City, which is not a part of Rome. It's a city-state with its own laws and governments. It was always satanic, and that has been the epicenter of what is called the religious, spiritual, satanic point for the satanic controllers. So these 3 city-states were the little points of power across the earth. All right. So then number 8 declares Jerusalem capital of Israel in December 2017. Number 9, Executive Order 13818 declares national emergency to deal with human rights abuse on December 2017. Number 10, CIC Trump walks in front of Queen. And I just talked about Queen Elizabeth and how had surrendered. He didn't walk in front. She allowed him to walk in front. She surrendered at that point. Okay, that was July 14th, 2018. Number 11, Putin, and that's a Putin 2.0, not the original Putin. That's 2.0. Putin hands CIC Trump soccer ball, meaning the ball is in your court. And it's notable that Russia did not participate in the 2022 World Cup, but he handed the soccer ball to President Trump, meaning the ball is in your court, because he is working with the White Hats and President Trump, on July 16th, 2018. And all of this is you can look this up for yourself and see the videos of all of this. Okay, and number 12, Executive Order 13848 on September 2018. 13, CIC Trump makes history, walks into North Korea on June 2019. 14, National Quantum Initiative, Executive Order 13885 on August 2019. Number 15, Space Force established as military branch in December 2019. Number 16, CORONA, second word is SARS, third word is VIRUS, first mentioned to American public as a threat from China in February 2020. All right, let me keep going. Number 17, 2 more national emergencies declared March 13th and 27th of 2020. Number 18, Executive Order 13912, federalizing 1 million National Guard to active duty status on March 27th, 2020. Number 19, CIC Trump quote on attack worse than Pearl Harbor and 9/11 combined. And he said that in May of 2020. Number 20, National Guard troops place fence around the CAPITOL building in D.C., and that's 47 U.S. Code 606 on January 2021. 21, CIC Trump receives full-grade constitutional bylaw and military-grade inauguration ceremony on January 20th, 2021. 22, quote, Joe Biden, end quote, breaks 20th Amendment amongst many other violations on January 20th, 2021. That wasn't really the original Joseph Robinette Biden. I've discussed that many times in my other videos. I'm not going to go into it here. I call this what has been a clone than an actor, and often robotoid and CGI. I just say to all of them, I call them JoJo. All right, number 23. Aircrafts constantly over and through 33-mile no-fly zone radius of D.C., January 2021 to present day. 24. Quote, Biden, end quote, extends executive order number 13848. First time, because since then he's extended President Trump's executive orders 3 times. Think about that. All right. And that he did it the first time, or JoJo did it the first time in September 2021. Number 25, Quantum.gov launched on September 2021. Number 26, New York Times reports military tribunals coming mid-2023. And that was from a Times article on December 2021. 27, Army and branches transfer all communications to Space Force under one command. In parentheses, Biden, or as I call him, JoJo's, never mentioned the Space Force, not once. 0 news articles with his name tied to Space Force. And that was on August 2022. Number 28, major optics and comms in CIC Trump's speech on November 15th, 2022. Articles establishing Space Force command centers with 0 mention of Biden on December 2020. I can't read my own writing. Is that 2022? Looks like, yeah, December 2022. Those few timelines and timestamps do nothing but prove a military operation and occupancy, along with many more laws, codes and orders, statutes, acts, optics, and comms. The National Guard has been out of their state militia status and operating as active duty status every day since they were federalized in March 2020. There's more than enough documentation and proof to show not only the National Guard, but also thousands of World Alliance aircrafts in and out of the United States and National Guard bases. There's United States Coast Guards with United States Navy at their stations. USCG is Department of Homeland Security during peacetime and transferred to the Department of the Navy during wartime. The Brunson case simply states the obvious. Congress violated the Constitution. All right. And that's all of that. And by the way, as I was reading it, I was realizing that I didn't write, because at the time that I jotted it, I knew it. And then as I'm reading it, I'm realizing Mr. Poole had reposted this. This is from Derek Johnson, the fabulous Derek Johnson. And he's all across social media as a rattlesnake or rattle trap, 1776. And he's all over the place. He also has books on Amazon, something bestseller called The Midnight Rider, which is amazing for everyone to have. And you can look into that for yourself. But Derek Johnson is an amazing source of real. So I'm happy to end with that. I've got part 2 and part 3 coming up. I really have so much more to say. So I'm going to end this with a closing prayer like I always do. It's what I'm saying in Sanskrit and Telugu is God bless all beings in all worlds. And please, if you like this content, I'm generally very shadow banned, so it really helps the algos to please like, share, subscribe, join my YouTube channel, heart if you're on TikTok or wherever else. And I really appreciate you. Thank you. Here's the ending prayer, the closing prayer. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yes, peace, peace, peace. That's what we're all looking forward to. But we've got to fight this righteous battle. We have to keep on from a local to a universal, cosmic, national, international, all the levels. And of course, it always begins within. We must have peace within first in order for it to be reflected and experienced from what we call the outside. What I just said, the closing prayer, I forgot if I told you the meaning or not. It's God bless all beings in all worlds. God bless all beings in all worlds. Thank you so much for being here with me. I'm sending you and yours big hugs and much love. I will see you when I see you, and bye-bye for now.